Everyone, welcome to a special Operation Meteor briefing. This time, we're just not focusing on the Gundam card game. We're going to, in fact, focus on something that I know a lot of people are going to start working towards, especially if you're new to TCGs, and that is convention preparation. Now, I've gone to a few Gen Cons, a couple World Championships, and a few other things like the Las Vegas Open. And I know for some folks who are barely getting into the competitive spirit and haven't been to many of these, I know that they can be a bit frustrating and a little bit worrisome and can cause some anxiety. First of all, you need to relax. You're going on vacation. You gotta have some fun, and hopefully this will help relieve some nerves. One of the major things I will always indicate to folks is make a schedule. It doesn't have to be like detailed down to the minute, but I know, okay, the convention hall opens at this time, my first event is at this time, and kind of give yourself a buffer. For example, when I went to my first Gen Con to compete in the Legend of the Five Rings Grand Cote, I thought I gave myself enough time, about 45 minutes to get down there. What I didn't account for was that my rideshare took 10 minutes more than it usually did because of the amount of increased travel. The traffic down there took an extra 10 minutes, and then getting through security and the line took an extra 8 minutes because it was at the start of the day. I almost missed my early time because I did not think about all of those factors. So if you're going to be going to one of these events and you're coming from somewhere outside the convention hall within walking distance, make sure you include, an extra 10 minutes for how long it takes a rideshare and add an extra 10 minutes of drive time, especially if it's in a major metropolitan area like Indianapolis or Las Vegas or something like that. Speaking of scheduling, make sure that you figure out when that lunch hour break is. So typically when you're doing a large tournament format that's anywhere between 6 to 8 rounds, you're going to get a lunch hour. The big thing with the convention, the size of Gen Con or the Las Vegas Opens or some of these other major ones, is that they may tell you have an hour, but that doesn't account for the fact that the food has to get cooked, the amount of time to get to that truck, waiting in line, all that can chew up that hour pretty quick. I've always recommended finding food at quick paces, meaning that if you see a line that's moving pretty quick, even though it's long, those might be better to go to rather than, a place that has a shorter line and they can tell the traffic isn't flowing. If you're not in a rush, then no brainer, right? You can go and hit up the place that's serving chicken tenders and fries and wait the 20 minutes for it to be cooked and calm down. If you're in line because you got a tournament in 45 minutes, hit up like a noodle shop or a pizza by the slice. They're going to fly you out real quick and you can do that. I would also recommend finding places that do refillable drinks. Wild Bill's in Indianapolis or at the Denver Fan Expo, always a great time, and you can get free refills. And I believe Gen Con actually is doing a refillable glass this year. Even if you're not a soda fan, there's still things like lemonade or water that you can grab, and those are really things. And don't discount the food at the inside the place. I don't think I actually had a bad experience eating the food that was actually in the convention hall at Gen Con, and the one in Las Vegas wasn't too bad either. Third thing is dress for the occasion. Now, I know that folks think that just because you're in a building with, tens of thousands of people, it's going to be warm. That will be the case when you enter and exit large places. But as soon as you sit down at a table, if you're at the end and there's no one on the other side, it's going to get chilly. I always recommend a light jacket. I ended up buying a official Gen Con 2018 hoodie because I'm like, oh, it's like 95 degrees in Indianapolis. It's going to be hot. I know. As soon as I sat down, I was freezing because, once you stop moving around and that air is just blowing on top of you and there's nothing in between, you're going to freeze a little bit. So make sure you have some layers. It's not going to be exactly a thing. Make sure they're easy to get on and off. I've always suggested a zip up hoodie. Those things are easy to get in and off and put in a bag. Always carry water. Of course, that's a no-brainer. Carry some snacks. There's really no restrictions on food in the hall just because there's any time for you to. And, of course, make sure that you locate things like the exits and the bathrooms in case of emergencies. I will tell you that there's sometimes you'll get done with a round. You have 5 minutes to go relieve yourself, and knowing where that stuff is can make or break your amount of time. Follow the other guides that other people have created in terms of general test preparation. I've always stressed that if you're staying at a hotel center that has a business suite that you can print off your deck list if they're going to take them. It'll save you some effort. You don't sit there and write. It'll calm you down and you don't have to worry about, oh, did I put in that deck? Just you utilize that. I know Indianapolis partners with a lot of hotels that have business centers. I'm sure you can print for like a couple, nickels or quarters. I'm not entirely sure what they charge. And Finally, if you find yourself in a position where you can't fill up your day, there's always free stuff to do well, not free stuff, but there's plenty of options to choose well at Gen Con. I remember one year I got done because I got knocked out. I had 2 hours and it was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, well, no one's running anything. There's things like movie viewings. I ended up finding a arcade there that someone's running with old consoles and stuff. So you can still find things to do in the area within walking distance. You don't have to go anywhere. I would always suggest that you kind of just look around and see what people are playing too, because they might find a gen that you're not working with. If you're at like a place like Gen Con, if you're at like a Las Vegas Open, just check out the other games. It's kind of cool to see what people are playing and kind of gain the idea of what they're doing there. And then my final words of wisdom, and I know this might be hard for some folks, is that don't be hard on yourself. I went to the World Championships in 2019, went 3-3 and missed the cut by 2 wins. I beat myself up so much that I was talking constantly, saying the same words over and over. And a friend of mine's like, hey, Sal, stop it. You're saying the same crap over and over again. And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it. Sometimes the trip doesn't pan out and you just got to learn to accept that and not ruin the trip. I mean, you're still at a great place. If you're at Gen Con coming up, or you're going to be at, the Milwaukee DLC for Lorcana, or if you're at the Pro Play Games Summit at a location, or you're playing at the Gundam World Championships offline tournaments, having the right attitude after taking a loss can make your trip or break it in some cases if you get too down on yourself. Always look to ways to get better, but don't let it bring you down. And hopefully you'll enjoy it and you'll go to the next one, and hopefully we'll see you then. And until next time, well, and for us here at Operation Meteor, we wish you the best of luck and hope you enjoy your convention experience.